I've been writing about a chapter per week for probably the last 2 years, building up backlog as I'm preparing to launch a new series. This one is temporarily titled Magitechnocracy. It's epic fantasy, a little more lighthearted than Torth. And the main character is another smart underdog. The heart of the series is basically a magical innovator whose homeland is being invaded versus a wizard bureaucracy that's kind of a little bit of a satire on our own world with corporate and shitification and the fact that we're all dealing with a broken healthcare system and things like that. And it's also got some satire of lit RPG and D&D elements. So this one's going to be a real fun series. It's already pretty fun, I believe. I'm 117 chapters into it. And I think at this point, it's got more than enough runway to make a bid for visibility on some of the major platforms that I would like to try it on. First and foremost, of course, is Royal Road. I'm also going to try cross-posting it to a few other platforms where I would like to. The major hurdle that every author faces is visibility, which I believe has become much more of a struggle than it was in the 20th century, as more and more people have become writers and the internet has made it so everyone who has a story to tell is able to tell that story very easily. And we're in an attention economy. Some of the main avenues for launching a story are sort of like you get one chance. So for instance, with Royal Road, there's a visibility algorithm where if you post with a certain amount of a momentum, a certain amount of advertisements and mutual shout outs between authors and all that, you can make a bid for visibility on kind of the front page of the site and the app. This is similar to the 30-day launch window that Amazon gives you, Amazon Kindle Unlimited. However, with both of these sites and with many others, if you don't hit the algorithm just right, your visibility doesn't quite take off the way it should have or you wanted it to, and that's it. Now, sure, you could go back and retcon some chapters, you could try relaunching. Most of these places will not let you revise and relaunch unless it's very, very significantly changed. So, if you've only changed a sentence here and there or like even a page here and there, that doesn't fly. And of course, nobody wants to just keep rewriting over and over unless they're totally insane. And I think at a certain point you have to say, all right, that project just wasn't going to take off. However, there is some kind of like magical voodoo formula where if you hit the cultural zeitgeist just right and you've tapped into the niche market that your story is for and you do everything just perfectly, you might get lucky. It's sort of like winning a gold medal in the Olympics. You can try and practice all your life and you get a certain number of shots in your life, until you're too old to compete or whatever. It's very similar with writing. So there's a lot of pressure basically to launch it well, to get it right. And just like my old series, I totally believe in this new series. I think it's awesome. And I want to get it right. I'm looking at, I've already commissioned cover art. I think I might try another commission or do something more for that. I have been rewriting the blurb, of course, and I want to totally go deep dive into the first 40 chapters or so. Because for that Rising Stars run, that visibility run that I was talking about, you get kind of a certain runway with chapters where you're going to be rapid posting them and trying to get attention. That cannot last forever. The algorithm will cut you off eventually. Other people will, other competitors come in. And so in general, I think people get about 40 to at the most maybe 100 or 120 chapters before they start dropping off that visibility. So that's where, grabbing the reader's attention matters the most. And of course, I'm not saying I'm just going to rest on my laurels or anything like that afterward. I believe I have a great story to tell, a great series, and I plan to keep writing this one. But I do want to get the opening chapters kind of pitch perfect. To that end, I kind of realize I've been giving away more than I should, most likely, on Patreon. Usually, authors keep a certain number of advanced chapters ahead on Patreon that people are willing to subscribe to. And I think if you give away too much, you're just flooding them. And I don't necessarily want to give away everything I have because I write a lot slower than the average Royal Road superstar author. I personally don't feel comfortable pumping out 3 chapters a week. There are people that are able to do that and keep up the quality. And I just am not at that point, even though I have written many more than 1 million words in my life. I'm not sure I'm ever going to get to the point where I can write something that I feel comfortable putting out in the public at that rate. For me, 1 chapter a week is doable, and that is with a day job and with other things going on in my life. I think if I was doing this 100% full time, I might be able to manage 2 chapters per week. I don't think I could do more than that ever. Now, of course, never say never, maybe someday I'll get to that point, but right now where I am in my life, I'm not comfortable putting out quality work faster than that. So for visibility on a lot of sites, 2 or 3 chapters per week is sort of the standard. And I want enough runway, or rather backlog of chapters, to keep up that pace for a good long while. I'm going to have to slow down to 1 chapter per week eventually, I believe. So I want to give myself that leeway. It's all about doing what you can sustain, what kind of pace you believe is sustainable for your lifestyle. So for now, I have made my future chapters free behind the paywall or behind the membership subscriber wall on my Patreon. You would actually have to pay $3 to read all the previous chapters, which, it's a small fee. And I think at some point soon, I'm probably going to start slowing down my pace to more than that, holding back more, and eventually I'm going to unpublish a lot of chapters and then relaunch everything on Royal Road and cross-posting to other sites. I might do a slow or soft launch on other sites first, because the visibility algorithms work differently on different platforms. My main focus in these next few months is going to be on shoring up those first 40 chapters. There's a whole bunch of things I want to do. I want to introduce a princess earlier and kind of downplay a gnome who I think was played up a little too much, and introduce the sinister mentor character in earlier chapters, things like that. So just a little bit of retconning. I want to actually retcon a large portion of the magic system, as I've really thought about it over these 117 chapters. I'm going to keep forward momentum and keep writing new chapters, but I may not be able to manage 1 per week at this rate, as I'm also retconning and doing other things with my life. So that's going to be my focus for the next few months. I am hoping to launch maybe in February or March. Now, before a big launch like this, it's actually important to get ads ready, to line up shout-out swaps with other authors, things like that. So there is a lot of behind-the-scenes prep work that needs to be done if you want to actually get visibility for your work. I want to give myself enough time to do that on top of all the other real-life stuff that's happening. So if you have any questions about how I launch things, or how my first series went, so that was the Torth series, anything like that, as always, feel free to ask. And thanks for watching my channel.